Okay, so video 12 is going to be about religion. We have to look at religion in Germany during the Nazi years, as it is a very important thing that Hitler wanted to tackle. The reason for that is because the majority of Germany follows one of the Christian faiths, Protestant or Catholic. About 1/3 of the population of Germany at the time was Catholic and almost 2/3 were Protestant. So Hitler needed to tap into these religious views, because if most people will stick to their religious views in terms of what they think are political ideas and the way they live their lives, and Christians ultimately have messages that do not ring true with the Nazi way of doing things. For example, teaching about tolerance, love, forgiveness, respect. Things that the Nazis did not preach in a lot of its mantra and a lot of its mottos. The Nazis taught about survival of the fittest, the strongest coming to the top, power, and not accepting some people. So the Nazis really, and Adolf Hitler in particular, realised that tapping into religion and trying to work around these Christians in Germany was crucial if he was going to achieve his goals. So what we're going to do is we're going to look separately. We're going to look at the Catholic Church first, and then we're going to look at the Protestant Church. So the Catholic Church. Now the Catholic Church were ultimately an issue, not just for those Christian beliefs that I've just mentioned at the start of the video, but also, crucially, because the Catholic Church had several specific things that the Nazis were concerned about. For example, the Catholic Church follows the word of the Pope as the guiding light, the person that leads from the front, that tells Catholics how they should live their lives, and talks to Catholics about the way that they things they believe and things they think. And with that idea, or with those ideas coming from the Pope, that disagreed with what Hitler wanted. Hitler wanted to be the guiding light, the man setting the tone for the way you live your life. So there was already one issue there. The Catholic Church also had its own Catholic youth movement, which obviously is going to come into opposition with the Hitler Youth, and they also have their own schools run independently from the state, which isn't going to agree with the Nazi curriculum. You can't imagine some of the things that are on the Nazi curriculum being on the Catholic curriculum. So several issues the Nazis had to deal with. So how did Hitler go about dealing with it? First of all, Hitler decides to try and go through peaceful discussion. 1933 signs with the Pope an agreement called the Concordat. The Concordat was an agreement, yes, an agreement with the Pope and Adolf Hitler to not interfere with one another. Basically what that means is the Pope said he would not interfere in matters in Germany in terms of politics and the day-to-day running of the government if Hitler promised not to interfere in Catholic Church matters, which Hitler made that promise. So we now have the promising not to interfere with one another, so the agreement is signed in 1933. Hitler seems to have the Catholic Church on side. However, in 1934, surprise, surprise, Hitler goes against his word and starts to act against the Catholic Church. Mainly in schools at first, so starts taking away some of the things from Catholic schools in the curriculum, starts taking things from classrooms like crucifixes, and eventually shutting down the Catholic schools and shutting down the Catholic youth movement in 1937. Not only dealing with young people, but he also started to ban Catholic services, or not necessarily ban Catholic services, but ban certain Catholic priests who were speaking out against the Nazis in their services. For example, he was worried about people like Bishop Garland. About 400 different priests were put into concentration camps during the Nazi years for their Catholic beliefs and speaking out against them in sermons. Bishop Garland was put under house arrest because he was such a popular figure. He wasn't put in a concentration camp. But you'll come to that in the next video. So Catholic priests, 400 Catholic priests put into concentration camps for their beliefs and their shared beliefs in their sermons. However, maybe didn't have the ideal effect for the Nazis. A lot of people saw them as martyrs, people prepared to be going to prison or to camps for their cause, and this actually made a lot of people flock and go to Catholic services. So the Catholic Church was dealt with in a more aggressive manner. Hitler's terror methods are still in place at this time, which is probably going to stop people from taking too much action for their Catholic beliefs, but you couldn't stop people believing and going to Catholic services. And we'll come on to the opposition from the Catholic Church in the next video. One thing I should also mention is the Pope went against his agreement in 1937 when he wrote a leaflet where he talked about, with burning anxiety, he talked about how Nazism was wrong and promoted all Catholics in the world to turn against it. We then have the Protestant Church, so the opposite. Now the Protestant Church is one Hitler thought he could work with more independently. because the Protestant church didn't have as many of the established things like the Pope and things like Catholic schools. Working with the Protestant church, Hitler decided to form a form of Nazi Protestantism, essentially, called the Reich Church. Now, the Reich Church, led by a guy called Müller, the Reich Church was an idea of combining some of the Protestant beliefs with some of the Nazi beliefs. Those followers wore Nazi uniforms, gave the Nazi salute, even had a motto which was the swastika on our chest and the cross in our hearts. And it was kind of a mixture of Nazi teaching with Protestant teaching to try and get people on side, which did attract some people. However, attracting potentially more people was a rival church, a protest church called the Confessional Church, set up by Pastor Martin Niemöller. Now, that Confessional Church actually had more supporters. If you look at the priests that signed up to that one, 2,000 had signed up for the Reich Church, 6,000 had signed up for the Confessional Church. These people led sermons, spoke out at church services, and again were attended by many people. And again, a lot of these pastors, a lot of these priests were put into concentration camps and became martyrs. So dealing with religion is tricky. Their beliefs, Christian beliefs in Germany, are very different to Nazi beliefs. So Hitler tried to combat them through agreements, through setting up a different church, through aggression, through arresting. But what does he ultimately do? He shows you what it is like to speak out against the Nazis, which would have convinced maybe some of the middlemen, the lower men, actually further down, people just going to church, to not speak out too much. But from the top, you had a lot of martyrs, which maybe reinstilled some people's religious beliefs. So were the Nazis completely effective in dealing with religion? I would say no, because people still did go to church, people did still follow their religious beliefs. But ultimately, did that lead to any kind of revolution or anything like that? No, it didn't. Opposition is coming up next.